After the insult, after the physical attack, I was completely covered in sand. I could actually at one point not see. Some of the youth and other villagers started to kind of basically crowd around because they were hearing the yelling and the noise and all the things that was happening, the commotion. Obviously, this voice doesn't change, so they could already tell that something was off because I didn't sound local. I began to explain myself that I'm the daughter of Peter. I'm the first daughter. I've come all the way from America.
Madam, I know you don't know, but see me as your daughter. I've come all the way from America. I've come all the way from America to see my dad. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing.
The youths, when they started to kind of hear my story and when whispers started to get around, the youths were rallying up to literally beat the out of my uncle and my aunt, because for them, they saw it as an abomination and as a taboo that the daughter of the first daughter, in fact, of the first son of that household will not be allowed into her father's compound. So now the youths are getting rallied up and people don't know what to do. So the Onowu of our community basically decided to call the police. Number one, I was assaulted, and number two, to calm the crowd down, because at this point in time, the tide was turning against my uncle and my aunt. When the police now came, they said, listen, ma'am, you've been physically assaulted. You know, what do you want to do? I said, please, can we just hold off on pressing charges until I find the whereabouts of my father? At that point in time, my uncle and my auntie began screaming and yelling, he's in Abuja, he's in Abuja. I have a text message that I'm going to post up here where my aunt is literally confirming that my dad is in Abuja. And a quick context, I knew my dad wasn't in Abuja because the reason why I was always checking on my dad is because, unfortunately, December of 2020, my dad had a stroke in Nigeria. I had fought for him to come back to America for proper medical treatment, but according to him, he was okay, he was fine, you know, he was seeing a doctor in Anambra. I didn't trust it, I didn't want it. He's a US citizen, come and get the proper medical treatment, but he refused and I could not force him. So when that happened, I just let him and his family basically plan out his care, but I was always on top to make sure my dad was okay. But after December 2020, basically, I was noticing my dad's state of health decreasing, and I was constantly having issues with my aunt and my uncle in feeling like they were purposely making him stay in Nigeria rather than him come to America for proper medical treatment. So fast forward now back to the present time, I found it hard that a stroke-ridden man could now endure 9+ hours on the road from Anambra to Abuja, and then whether he went by plane, I don't know, but something was just telling me my dad did not go to Abuja, nor was he in Abuja. So when the police now realized that it was a welfare check that I was making on behalf of my dad, they told me that I'm obviously allowed into my father's compound and that, you know, I should, go into my father's compound and be rest assured that nothing would happen to me. When I got into the compound, it was more yelling. Villagers were still asking questions. Why did my uncle and my aunt feel the need to verbally and physically assault me? And they began making more lies, but nobody was believing them. It was just kind of like, what is going on? And that's something that I want to share, that when you do wickedness, you actually have no common sense. Like the Holy Spirit, God cannot let you do something evil and think that you literally checked off every single box. So the wickedness that my uncle and my auntie were trying to sow in the people, all you needed was common sense to realize that these two individuals were lying. Eventually, it started to get really late at night, and people were kind of like getting restless because there wasn't really any new developments. And my uncle and my aunt now called my uncle, Christopher, who's also a relative and the brother of my father. And he went on speaker to say, hey guys, I am in Abuja. Yes, Peter's in Abuja with me. I'm so sorry. I'm not home right now, or I would have given Peter the phone. Please, let's all come back tomorrow and I'll put Peter on the phone so that we can all talk because it's getting very late. When the villagers heard that, when some of the people heard that, they said, okay, Peter's in Abuja. When I heard that, I looked around just so dazed and so confused, and an older woman looked at me and said, lies. They're lying. Your father is upstairs.